Hey y'all, it's Shelly. Welcome to the Mindful Plate. If you're here because you want to get straight to the jerk chicken kebabs recipe, then go here. But if you are here because you have been considering reducing your meat intake, you are thinking about incorporating more plants and vegetables into your diet, then stick around. I want to show you how I started the process of moving from purely a carnivore to becoming a conscious carnivore. Not a vegan, but a conscious carnivore who eats a lot of plant-based food and occasionally eats meat. I'm gonna take you back a few years to when I first started this journey of eating less meat. So we're talking around 2016. Yes, the video I'm about to show you has some time to it, but the principles are timeless. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you my food philosophy around meat, as well as one of my favorite recipes that obviously includes chicken, but also includes loads of vegetables to make sure that your taste buds are satisfied and your body gets what it needs. Let's get into it.
Hey, I'm your host, Shelly Wellness. I'm on this journey to elevate our consciousness around food, and I invite you to join me. On this channel, I'll share recipes created with mindfulness, rooted in wellness. Welcome to the Mindful Plate.
Once you feed the carnivore in you, it's kind of hard to kill it. I'm becoming more conscious now, and I'm becoming more aware of how my actions affect not only my body, but also the environment. And the act of eating meat does have its consequences. And the act of eating meat that is raised in crowded conditions and unsanitary conditions and without love and without a touch of humanity or animality, if that's a word, or compassion, really. Animals that don't get to see the sunshine because they spend all their time crowded in like a warehouse somewhere and are then just really manufactured just for the purpose of consumption or our consumption and their profit. That has consequences. I don't think eating meat is bad at all. I don't think eating meat is bad at all. What I do think is that there used to be a time when we had a lot more reverence and respect for the land and the food that we eat. And so eating meat was a sacrifice, like it was definitely a sacrificial event. It wasn't that you go to the grocery store and you pick up cutely packaged cartons of like legs and quarters and hinds and necks and feet and bellies and it wasn't like that. There was a whole animal, and there was ceremonies done before the hunting began to ensure that the animal that comes is the animal that's for them, like to be able to listen and be in tuned enough to nature so that that this hunt is for you, that this hunt is a sacrifice, that this animal itself is also in tune with the vibration of the hunt. Like you're not just out there killing animals to be killing animals. And when you do get it, there's a certain set of gratitude that you have with eating this meat, with the energy it took to get this meat, with what this meat is now going to do to fortify the entire village, not just your body, but the entire village, and how not only the meat is going to be eaten, but other parts of the animals are going to be used because the village needs it in order to operate and continue on. And so there are animals that sacrifice themselves for our human development, and that's something that you have to appreciate. So when I eat meat, I make sure that I'm not just eating because the carnivore me is hungry or because the carnivore me has been advertised to, because marketers do a lot of work to grab my attention, like those chicken commercials and hamburger commercials and nice piece of salmon, like they're speaking to something, but they're speaking to my taste buds. They're speaking to my fabricated desires that really weren't even mine in the first place. And so I'm conscious of that now. So when I do choose to eat meat, then I do my best to go to a butcher that's local. I try my best to eat something that's a fresh slaughter. I try my best to eat something versus like something that's been frozen for however many decades or really thawed it out and brought it out in the supermarket like your turn to sell. I think that we need to be a lot more conscious about how we consume our food, where we get our food from, and the consequences of eating certain foods, not just on our bodies. I mean, we can see that now with diseases such as cancer and high blood pressure and diabetes. Like these are all things that really didn't exist. They really didn't exist before our food started being produced in a certain way. So these are things that I want to really bring to light and pay attention to, not only just in my own diet, but even when I'm talking to you guys and just sharing my food philosophy. Like I don't follow diets. I just follow health. And health extends beyond me. It's not just about so I cannot get cancer and so I cannot get diabetes or get a disease, but more so that you know, the world itself, you know, 50 years from now, like cancer is not a thing. Like it's just not, that diabetes is not a thing, that we find a way to sustainably sustain ourselves and enjoy what we eat, because I don't believe in nasty food. You know, I'm not saying we all got to go eat barley and broccoli for the rest of our life. Not that broccoli is nasty, but still. But I am saying that we do need to return to some older ways, some more ways that are more in tune with nature and the earth and the sacrificial nature of eating meat.
So these Guava Jerk Chicken Kebabs came about because I decided that I wanted to eat less meat. The more I learned about the meat industry, the less I wanted to participate in it. However, when you grow up eating meat 3 times a day, making that switch is a challenge, especially if going cold turkey is not your thing. Growing up with a Black American father who enjoyed barbecuing and a Jamaican mother who introduced me to jerk chicken, both of these culinary traditions are in me. So this chicken kebab recipe is an ode to that. Like I said, going cold turkey isn't my thing. I'm a transition type of woman. And to make the transition from eating meat 3 times a day to barely at all, I started with recipes like this. And I suggest that if you're trying to make the switch, you start with recipes like this as well. Kebabs are perfect because they focus on smaller cuts of meat and integrate other important food groups like vegetables. So now the meat is part of the meal and no longer the main subject. Now, let's talk about the sauce. So I blended equal parts of sriracha barbecue sauce, jerk paste, and guava paste. It's the perfect blend of smoky, heat, and sweet. There's no recipe here, y'all, no exact measurements. It's a vibe. So get into the kitchen, take out your sauces, and taste it out till it makes sense. Now, the best part about these kebabs is that they are veggie rich. And because we're transitioning from eating a lot of meat to then focusing on eating less meat or no meat at all, when you start to incorporate veggies into your meal like this, it changes your taste buds and resets your palate. So you put veggies on the kebabs and you serve it with a veggie-rich side dish like the zucchini shallot couscous, which I made by roasting zucchinis and shallots and then adding that roasted vegetable into the couscous. I added a little bit of flavor to the couscous, but not a lot because the focus is the Guava Jerk barbecue sauce. And voila, there you have it. A delicious meal that will satisfy your taste buds and also honor the fact that you are now recognizing that eating meat is sacrificial in nature. And ultimately, we want to have a balance in our diets.
So now here we have it, folks. I mean, this plate right here. This plate, it hits so many spots. It makes me happy. It makes me happy, like to taste something that just makes you close your eyes and you're just like, oh my God. Like that is the feeling that I think mealtime brings. You know, like that's the feeling I grew up on. Mealtime is the best time. Health is a lifestyle worth pursuing. It's something that doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be lame. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be very exciting, very colorful, very flavorful, very tasty. And that's what I want to share with y'all.